All right. Good afternoon. This is Alex Maverick on the first SIG meeting of 2019 for the Bridge Group. As I said, my name is Alex Maverick. I'm a senior engineering consultant with Bentley. For today SIG meeting, we're going to be showing you the new OpenBridge Designer interface. Right, as you may know, right, OpenBridge Designer is our product that basically creates a physical model of the bridge, a BIM model, if you want to call it like that, right? And after you create that BIM model using or in the MicroStation platform, right, or using the MicroStation in DGN, right, then you can send it to our analysis software. So you name it, LibBridge Concrete, LibBridge Steel, or RMBridge. So what is the new release that we have done almost at the end of the year, right? So we have enhanced, of course, some items on OpenBridge Designer, but the big change is the entry screen, right? So let me show you live what this is all about, right? And see what happens. So I will launch OpenBridge Designer, right? And now it becomes with this screen, right? So you remember that you used to see OpenBridge Modeler, LibBridge Concrete, and LibBridge Steel in one big screen with like 3 icons, right? Well, this is not happening anymore, right? So now you got this screen, and it's asking you to create a new file. So I will just go new file, and that's the change. That first we have to create what is called an OBD file. And let's create one. I'm going to call it SIG meeting, right? And think of that as this screen. Think of this OBD file, kind of a repository file, like a notepad file, in which you will store all your project-related information, especially regarding your bridge, right? So that's one. Second, in this OBD file, right, that by the way is just an ASCII file internally, I will show you later what it's all about, right, is that we recognize, or you should be able to recognize, two types of workflow, as you can see. One is what we call the Bim Workflow, and the other one is the Standalone Workflow. So let me show you first what this Standalone Workflow is all about, because basically what happened with the Standalone Workflow, it's the workflow that we used to do last year, right? So the one that you're familiar with, working with the 3 separate solutions, OpenBridge Modeler, LibBridge Concrete, and LibBridge Steel. So I will select to work standalone, and I will add a new group, right? The name as a group is just a name regarding the bridge that you are doing, right? So I'm going to call it that this is the bridge over Bentley Avenue, right? So remember, this is not a file name. This is just representing what your bridge, a reference of your bridge, right? Then, look, that is the file, OpenBridge Modeler, right? So I will just open OpenBridge Modeler, right? And it's the same, well, new release, but it's the OpenBridge Modeler that you are used to work with, right? Nothing has changed in that. Few enhancements that we're going to be covering in a separate SIG meeting, right? But then you take, okay, I'm working with my old, precast bridge file, right? So this is my existing project from last year. But now, instead of identifying the DGN file, right, that some even DOTs use some cryptic names, like with numbers and letters, right? So I'm identifying that this DGN file is actually the bridge over Bentley Avenue. Right? So the integrity, the compatibility of your DGN file hasn't changed at all. You still have the same file, with all the same options, right? Just proceed as you used to. There is no need to upgrade or anything like that. And again, you can still work with your leverage concrete, right? Send it to LEAP, send it to steel. So that is the same workflow. Now, when you work with the file, do modifications and stuff like that, you just say, well, I will exit this. So just exit, right? And now that's what happened. Now, your model or your group, your bridge over Bentley Avenue, knows that you are using the precast bridge DGN file, because that's the one you open, with OpenBridge Modeler. By the way, this is the path in which this file is stored. But not only that, it gives you the ability to see live. Actually, this is live. Where is the file? Or where is that bridge? Right? And that's your bridge. Right? Now, we incorporate this, call it if you want a microstation viewer, in which you can just see what this file is all about. Not only that, you are not hindering from other people to maybe open your file and design it, right? This doesn't trap your file or make it read only for the users. You are just using a viewer. Some other people, maybe a detailer, can start working your file while you look at it. So to me, that's a great improvement right there, because now you don't need to ask anybody what this precast bridge TGN contains, right? Or what this BRDSG file contains. You'll just see it right away that not only the file name, but also the group or the name is always the bridge over Bentley Avenue, right? And then see it live too. More. Oh, I have another bridge to work with, right? So, well, I can go and say, well, let's create another one that I need to manage. And maybe that is the bridge on, let's close here, I-75, right? So what file is that? Oh, I have to look for that file. So in this case, it's up to you. You can then open an existing file, of course, right? But then also you can create a new file, right? So you can still create a new file and use the seed file and create a new one. But then I have a whole project I'm still working from last year, and it happens to be that now the bridge that I identify as a 75 ramp bridge is this segmental one. And then I can continue working, as I said, as I was working before. Okay. Also, let me remind you, I'm monitoring also the chat window. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type it. I will be able to, well, read it on the fly. And then if I answer, I can answer them as we come along. Okay. So again, now as I have that, now that is my segmental bridge, a complete maybe different path and all of that, right? And work with it, maybe in that case send it to Leap Steel, right? Or RM Bridge view. I can be working with this. And then when I close it one more time, right? Now it will remember that the bridge segmental now is this file with this path, and that is the live status of that file. That's what it is. It's partially complete, maybe not done yet, so I can just go in and work with it. Right? So that is the standalone mode. But then also you said, "Whoa, what about if I don't want to do this? Right? I don't want to go into a bridge model because I had, yes, the DGN file, right?" Then the question that comes from Siddharth, yeah, it's right. Do we always have to have a DGN file? No, because as I said, here you are doing a DGN file because yes, your purpose was to create a Bing model, right? So say, no, I don't want to do that because I want to have, it's a small bridge. It doesn't need to be done in BIM. I don't need a 3D model. Maybe I have an old design that it was already done with Liebridge concrete or Liebridge steel. So I don't want to do OpenBridge model. And that's fine because now, since you are in a standalone, you recognize that you are not doing BIM. You recognize that you are maybe breaking the process. So I'm not going to do any modeling at all. I will just go and say, okay, you know what? This is going to be my small bridge project, for example, right? Let's call it a different name. And then I don't want to do a big model. I don't want to do DGN. I just jump directly to analysis, right? And then in analysis, I said, okay, this is a small bridge. I'm going to do with Leap. And then it will open, right, your standalone Leap, and then you create an analytical model. Right? And you're ready to go. And then just use the normal process that you do in Leap, maybe the ABC wizard, and all of that to create your bridge and analyze it and all that. Right? So you're right, Amber. Yes, you can start a bridge just writing Leap. Right? You're done. Remember, on the other hand, this is not a big model. Right? Yes, you can export to DGN, right? You can say, yeah, I can export to DXF, I can export to DGN. But by no means this is a big model. This is an analytical model that here you're choosing to represent in DGN, or just maybe leave it here and proceed with the design of the superstructure and the substructure. So you are going, I would say, purely analytical on that part. And as you continue, right? So again, the big difference on this standalone mode is, well, you can save the file and all of that, but now you can launch the products completely separate. Right? Before, in the old interface, you used to have OpenBridge Modeler here, right? Choose. Now, you can just go into analysis. So there is nothing on modeling. There is no need to do that in your small bridge project, right? Here. But then you will just go jump directly to the analysis and work with your standard Leap or Leap bridges. Right? Because again, you're recognizing that you're working in a standalone, separate softwares that maybe you choose to connect it, but in this work, you just say, I want to work separate. Now, don't get me wrong, because you will be tempted, and there is no workflow for that, oh, I create a Leap model. And then later I decided, oh, I want to do BIM now. So you cannot send the Leap model to OBM and make it into BIM. Okay, you cannot do that. It has to go. You want to do that, it has to go from here to here. And then after you have this and send it to here, you can do the interoperability connectivity. So it can update the file and all of that. But you cannot create this from the very beginning and try to update them all. You don't do that. But then is as for you, and as the chat window is saying, really, it's way much easier to start a model here in OBM, right, and then analyze it. More is I would say, to me, as a preference, it's a better graphical interface. It's also, you see your changes immediately. It checks your geometry and all of that. So you really have more options to visualize your design and get the advantage of having the option to maybe cut sections, having a big model, right? And then transfer to Leap and just in Leap just do the analysis and design calculations only, right? Even if you don't need the DGN file, because telling you the truth, sooner or later you will need it, right? But hey, it's up to you. Oh, there are some. So I remember there are also some old projects that not even OpenBridge Modeler was present, and you still need to maybe double check your calculations or update your calculations, well, you can still go with LibBridge Concrete or LibBridge Standalone and load your old files, your LBC files, even older CSP, RCP. So if you know what a CSP and RCP are, well, you have been a long time user of lib, right? These are the conspan and the RCP files that have the names in it. So this is what you do, okay? And this is called the standalone work mode that we recommend. Okay. Now, what is this interoperability that it shows actually in both workflows? We are going to connect, not now, but we are connecting our bridge with more discipline, right? So we are going to connect it with the software that is related to bridge. One, for example, Gint, right? So if we have Gint in our computers, right, and it's you have Gint in your computer and you need maybe to load a geotechnical report, right? So rather than waiting for the PDF file to be sent or anything like that, well, if you have Gint on your computer and you know the database that you need to access to, you can just launch Gint directly. I have it on my computer. Okay? You need an extra license if you want to do that, of course, right? But you can just quickly see your Gint database and start working, right? So, well, you need to know how to manipulate Gint, navigate through that, but we give you the option. The same with detail. It will launch Pro Structures. It will launch Lumen RT for visualization, and you get your project going, right? So, well, these are launching products, right? It's launching Gint, it's launching Pro Structures, it's launching Lumen RT, but later we're going to establish a more and more connectivity into that, right? But the plan is to have that connection there. For example, you know that Bentley has acquired Plaxis last year. Plaxis is done for advanced geotechnical calculations, special soil structure interaction. So we're planning also a connectivity to Plaxis. So that is that interoperability option that give us a lot of room to improve and connect our bridge to all multiple disciplines. That before it was just basically sharing PDFs or just sharing information without any or automated connectivity on that, right? So again, that it's the standalone workflow. Okay? That is the standalone workflow in which, again, your, I would say, your old workflow, well, last year workflow, it's not interrupted or changed. It's just, think about it, maybe we reorganize the icons. Okay? And then the information is better saved. We give you this nice interface. So no disruption here. Now, what is the other workflow that we're talking about? Talking about what is this Bim Workflow? Okay, that's the new one that we're introducing. And it's the same OBD file. Right? And I say, no, my project is a Bim project. Right? So let's create then a Bim project. Okay, name it the that is it's going to be the 595 interchange project, right? Or not even interchange, even better, 595 corridor. So multiple bridges, multiple interchange, right? So being a whole corridor, right? It could be multiple interchanges, right? Multiple bridge models. So let's create a bridge model. So this is going to be the bridge over 136th Avenue, right? And this bridge over 36th Avenue is now going back to OBM. Right? I'm reading your questions, so we go for it now. So let's see this bridge over 136. It's a steel bridge, right? I will open it, right? And that's the OBM that you know, right? So we got my steel bridge, I work with it. I can also send, well, this is steel, I can send it to my lip steel, right? Send it to lip steel and just do the normal operations that I always do, right? So what is the difference with the standalone workflow? So, I mean, I'm doing basically the same operations, right? So I will go leap and do all the stuff. So that's normal, right? My bridge comes over, all of that. So I got the bridge and it's transferred successfully and all of that, right? And then just proceed with the design, right? So no biggie there, right? And then when I finish and I say, well, now let's send it back to OBM, right? The workflow is done. Maybe an analytical option here, right? Send it back, test, the XML file to read, that's what I'm talking about, right? And I exit, right? Then I bring it to update, then I update my model, right? So that's that. Now when I exit, right? So now becomes the difference. First, that bridge over 36th Avenue, again, this is the same workflow, this is the bridge and all of that, right? The location, but then also it has recognized that is in this DGN file, that is the name of the bridge. And I have only one bridge to it, so it enhances that, right? And then you will say, where is the analysis? I cannot do the analysis, right? And well, that's what we call it, the Bim workflow, because you cannot do the analysis separate anymore. If you're doing the Bim workflow, remember, the single source of truth of your project is the Bim model, right? So all the information is on the Bim file. It's on that Bim file, on that DGN file. So if you want to design this bridge, and you are recognizing that in a Bim workflow, this DGN file is the single source of truth, so I cannot break the process. The only way to get into analysis in this Bim file is to go to the Bim model and recognize that, yes, I need to do analysis, right? And as I'm doing that, then I can just launch leverage concrete and leverage steel, right? Uh, Launching that, so then I will be able to do that design. So now I say, look, the bridge is model, let's launch the design now. And if any change is happening, I know that it's going to be back and forth interoperability with this. Okay? That I would say is the biggest difference between a Bim workflow and analysis and as a standalone project. Right? Now, you would say, well, why are you doing that? Because again, I mean, if you don't do this, if you don't recognize that you're doing a Bim workflow, right? What would happen if, and it could happen, right? If you, I'm not going to say that you lost control of the project, but I would say that as many people work in the project, if I work on a standalone mode, right, basically my small bridge or this precast bridge that is here, right, if you think about it, I just can go analysis and open the leverage concrete file of that bridge and change it completely, analyze it, and I'm done. And nobody have seen that when I change this model was not updated because I chose a standalone, separate software handling basically the same bridge, right? So that is the decision that you gotta make on that part. Now, you go to a Bim workflow, right? So then you say, yes, I'm doing this bridge, right? And the only way to get to this bridge and do the analysis is to get into the file, being cognizant that, yes, I'm getting into the Bim model, I want to change it, maybe modeling aspect or even on the design aspect. So that is my point of entry, right? If any modifications need to be made on the design itself, I would rather do it on the Bim model, by the beam sizes, the layout, and send it to design every time. Okay. So, as I said, that's what we're proposing right now. We are not forcing you to go to a Bim model or a Bim workflow like that, but that's our concept here, for warranting that nobody will go into Leap externally and modify that. Think about it, the only thing that we save is the DGN file. Right? And the same interoperability will work, but this is our point of entry. Now, when you go here on this same project, I can go and create another bridge. Right? I say this is a precast bridge for 72nd Avenue, for example. Right? And they say, okay, this one now is also an OBM one. Right? This is a quick one. Is there a version of Leap that allows British standards and Eurocodes? I'm sorry, Liam, no. The only option to design now with the Eurocode or British codes are sending your design, like this precast bridge that I'm loading, sending that to RM Bridge. And that's going to be the one doing that design codes. Have the Eurocode, the British code, and other ones too. Right? Then here, right? So then you do Liam, you will do and say, send it to RM Bridge in your case. But again, I have another one, right? I can send it to Leap, modify that, and then when I exit, my point of entry one more time of that analysis software was the Bim model. Here, that information is saved. And now I have a Bim model. And the design is locked. To get into the design, I have to go through the DT to the Bim model to guarantee that I'm not breaking any Bim process. And then you can create as many as you want. Okay, so that is a new interface. I would say treat it as a technology preview if you want, right? To see if this accommodates your existing workflow or maybe improve it. We hope so, certainly. And just send us an email to see what other improvements we can do. This is a work in progress on that, so we'll be enhancing this as much as we can, right? So now answering more your questions, it was, what happened with this is working in project-wise? Oh yes, it works in project-wise. The only caveat is that in project-wise, you cannot, do you have the OBD file, right? The first time you create the OBD file, you have to do it new, local, and put it in project-wise. After that, then you can open the file in project-wise with the option of open with, and it will be OpenBridge Designer, right? So we are improving this on how to work in project-wise. Again, we're managing the DGN right? So basically, it's nothing different on that. But as I said, we are improving the DGN on, excuse me, the project-wise, on the sense that we we connected better because look, let me show you, repair this. This is the interaction with project-wise, and we're fixing right now is that we are saving the local folder, right? We used to be, we must save the project-wise. So that is something that is going to be fixed on the next release that is coming maybe at the end of the month on that. So, January 2019, recordings, but it works exactly as it used to be project-wise. Because again, in the big workflow, we're managing a DGN file. So it's just compatible with project-wise. Right? So it's the same workflow. The only difference again, see, look, you open the file from project-wise with all the security. So if the file is read-only because somebody's using that, well, you won't be able to open, right? Only read-only mode. But if not, the file will checked out as it's doing now with all the proper references, and then you can work as you need to be inside the project-wise. So now the other question that I was asking here, under the interoperability, there is no icon for open roads or OpenBridge or even concept station. Yes, there is no icon on that because there is nothing external that we need from open roads or of RM or anything like that. Because what would happen is this, that information that you see on my screen right now, there is nothing external to it. Remember, OpenBridge Designer is built up on the civil platform, MicroStation platform. So we don't need to access that information. We just read it directly. So here in this file that you see on my screen, tell you the truth, the only thing that is live is the bridge. We can read the OpenBridge Designer alignments, profiles, ground information, corridor model. So there is no need to do interoperability because we just do it on the fly. Because again, it's on the same platform, right? And there is no need to manipulate the models or anything like that for that. Think about it. GIMP is not on the MicroStation platform. It's a separate database. Well, it's interoperability for that. Our structure needs a different set of menus for that. So it doesn't read the civil stuff, but we need the structure, so that's why we send the bridge. And Lumen is the same thing. So just for that. But then the interoperability with OpenBridge Designer is just a given, just part of the platform itself. So that's why there is no extra icon on that. Right? And for OpenBridge, the software being, for highly specialized bridges, I would say. So then you need to have the software separate in your machine, and still we can be able to call the executable inside OVM and launch RM if needs to be. Got more questions here. Now, does the workflow transfer between users or is local only? Well, the OBD file is saved. That's a good one. The OBD file is saved locally, but then you can put it in project-wise. So just let me show you what is this OBD file all about. Because the OBD file internally, it could be shared in project-wise, because at the end of the day, what this OBD file is all about. As I said, I told you there was a notepad. Well, that's actually what it is. You see, it's saving where your files are. So you open the OBD file, it's basically writing where your project is located, or what type of project was the name of your model, and all of that. So you could say that this workflow is kind of shareable because it stores the path. Now, it stores the path locally, but then this B drive that I have, this could be a network drive, so then it will share that location. Now, if it's a project-wise drive or location, well, here, instead of saying that, it will be reading PW, right? Because that's project-wise locations. So when we fix this minor glitch, it will do all of that. So you can share that workflow of these different bridges and be able to open that OBD file and say, oh, I need to go to the bridge over 136. rather than trying to find what the name of the file is and try to work. Okay, so that is actually what the OBD file is. Just maybe bashing a little bit the developers. It's just kind of a notepad of all your bridge locations. Okay. Yeah, how will we resolve the links from the OBD file and the files in ProjectWise? It will resolve itself, right? We are going to issue again a new release by, I would say, the end of January to fix that ProjectWise issue. But you don't need to, at this time, you still really need to work with ProjectWise. So I would suggest you maybe work on the standalone mode. Just right click and open the file for that. If you still want to use the Bim Workflow, there's a workaround on that with the local folders in ProjectWise that we can just do it offline. I mentioned about it, but again, if it must be, you can work with that local repository files that ProjectWise creates and do it. You can try in the meantime just working standalone, but it will be solved for sure. Okay, so any other question that you may have? So I hope this you find this beneficial. Again, this is where we're trying to improve on the Bim workflow. I would say at one point, our modeling software with the OpenBridge modeler, that's what we're driving to. That was, you can see, everything is gearing to that, to make OBM the modeling software for all kinds of bridges. And then the analytical will be still handled with the bridge concrete, steel, or iron bridge on that. Right? So now, these SIG meetings are being held every Thursday. I think it's the second Thursday of each month, right? You get invitations for that if you subscribe to it. But also, the other way to get connected with us is we, as a group, our bridge group, holds weekly meetings. Actually, we just have one today, and for lack of a better name, we call it As the Experts. Right, so this is our bridge group in the US. So Steve, Raul, myself, right, and we just hold these weekly sessions every Thursday at 11. It's half an hour, very quick updates on what we're doing in bridge, answering your questions. It's live, not recorded. So every week is a different topic. So keep in touch with us. Well, we will be, hope you need to subscribe. So send me an email with your email address, and you will get an invitation every week when we held it if we are not traveling, right? So, and other than that, I would say that we can adjourn the meeting. Well, thank you very much for your attendance. If there is not any more questions, so thank you so much. And well, we'll see you on the next SIG meeting or maybe in our weekly sessions. Thank you so much. And well, have a nice afternoon. Thank you.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.